To follow up on Wax's question,
Yep.
Some states have they have prohibited existing schools from becoming charter schools. Is that part of the charter schools bill?
No.
So like harbor schools or Spurwink could just incorporate their schools into charter schools then?
Yes, they could. Yep.
Yeah, and that's-
An existing public school could convert itself to a charter school.
yes, but
So if the locals, but yeah, the community school
private
or an
schools.
existing private could convert itself to a charter school. I mean, and understand, I mean, I don't know, well, I don't imagine any of you have, but if any of you looked at the actual charter school statute, and I should have mentioned this while Wax was still here, but I'll track it down. It's going to be very, very tough to build a charter school because I had a couple of legislators in my office today. We were looking through the statute about what's the entry point. How do you get one off the ground? And essentially, if you look in the statute, it's a big long list of stuff that essentially you have to put into the charter document. Charter schools are governed by a constitution, essentially a chartering document. That's where the name comes from. And in that document lays out how the school is going to function, how it's going to be funded, who's going to do what the teaching methods, and all of that stuff. And it's a huge long list of stuff that you have to describe. And one of them includes you have to demonstrate that there's a need, that there's some unmet need in the community for this charter school. You know, one of the legislators, when we were having the bill the other day, said, well, how are we going to, it goes back to that question, what about the kids that are sort of left behind? What do we do with those kids? I said, well, we're going to build charter schools to meet the needs of those kids because that's the market. I'm not going to open a charter school in Camden to try and siphon off college kids who are headed off to a 4-year degree program because I'm going to be competing against a very, very good high school over here. And the chances of my being able to pull kids out of there enough to get my business off the ground, it's not going to happen. So what you're going to see is charter schools are going to have to understand, charter school authorizers and the educators who want to start charter schools are going to have to take a very long look at the landscape and determine, is there an unmet need here that we can build a school around, a sustainable sort of business model, if you want to think of it in that way, moving forward. And so if you have the community school or something like that that's meeting a very narrowly defined, serves a sort of narrowly defined set of kids, because it offers a sort of program designed for that specific group of kids, there's an unmet need that they've identified. Okay, so in my mind, I think that you're not going to have charter schools opening across the street here to siphon kids out of this middle school, because you'd have to make a really pretty strong case that they're going to get a better education across the street than they are in here. So it really is going to be, I think, a charter school operator is going to look and see where is there a need that's not being met by the sort of conventional public schools for whatever reason. And that's where that's the population that we're going to target. And it may be dropouts who are out of the system anyway. You're going to pull them back in. So that's kind of what the thinking is around that. But under the law that's proposed, an existing private school, non-religious, could convert itself through a process laid out in statute into a charter school. But they would have to go through the same process that everybody else would have to go through. They'd have to identify need. They'd have to put a very rigorous evaluation and performance evaluation system in place. I mean, they've got to do a whole bunch of stuff. I think we're going to find a lot of existing private schools not wanting to do it. Certainly, I don't see any of the town academies doing it.